Welcome to Still Talking Uncut podcast. Check us out on YouTube and Spotify. I'm your host, Big Easy, joined by my co-host, Master Distiller Sean Rigsby. Welcome to the show, Sean.
Glad to be here.
You look glad to be here. This is going to be a good one. I got a feeling. So, we're privileged enough tonight to have a special guest, our buddy, old DRC, old Dustin from DRC Stainless. If you don't know who Dustin is, I think Dustin's one of the best TIG welders I've ever seen ever. So, go on TikTok, check him out. And if you follow him, he'll walk you through step by step how he does what he does. And you watch him create magic. And then I'm like, when I watch it, I'm like, man, I'm just going to let him do that. So I don't even want to attempt to learn or try to do that. But welcome to the show, DRC.
Thank you for having me.
Anytime, man. Anytime.
We're honored and privileged. So we've been talking about having you on for a while, and we're really grateful to have you here. So I know Sean's got lots of questions. I know I got some questions. And Sean's got a new name, man. That's a nice name, bro. Like, I will say, we talked about last week how that big blow up went down, and it seemed like it was heard. I feel like it was heard.
Facts are facts.
And that's what I'm thinking. Everything that was said and everything, all the winners that have stepped forward all of a sudden are like, it's true. And I tell you what's cool about it is the power of just, a couple people getting together and being like, hey, and how big it is. And is that the Old Smokies? That's the Old Smoky, ain't it? I know that's some banana pudding right there. All right. Well, we always start out, what you drinking on? So, Sean, tell us what you drinking on, since you already went ahead and got us there.
Banana pudding. It don't get no better than this. Old Smoky's banana pudding.
Now, do you like that one? Is that your favorite banana sipping cream?
It's just like spelling my name right. There's only one way to spell it.
It's going to be one of them shows, huh?
No.
I never know. DRC, drinking on anything over there? Oh, I think he's frozen. I figured they had the. Are you
there
back?
He is.
There you go.
You back, DRC? Can you hear?
I brought him back.
Still can't hear nothing?
Well, he's going to have to leave and come back in. And if he can't weld it, he can't work on it. So that's how he is. Nope. He can't hear us. Hopefully, Sean sent him a message. Time to leave and come back. And just to fill the time slot while hopefully he gets his audio fixed.
He probably won't even see this.
I'm drinking on some Kentucky Straight Bourbon whiskey.
Hey, that's some cheap shit, but I hear it's pretty good.
Yeah. So, like, my thing is, it's like, our buddy, old son, every time he needs something, we're always like, here you go. And he's always like, how much? And, we're always like, hey, bro, you know how it is. And then, so he comes to get shit, and all of a sudden, like, he'll come over to eat or hang out or.
Are you here, DRC?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. There you go.
I can hear you now.
So, are you drinking anything tonight?
I'm getting reverb. I'm getting
He's got TV on or something back there.
Jenny came in here and said, "Hey, you got to leave."
Okay, she was watching. I was wondering why I was hearing myself again.
Right.
I like to hear myself once. So,
well, I talk to myself a lot because I have a lot of staff meetings and I need to get everybody on the same page.
I got you.
No, sometimes you need expert advice. That's all it is.
And that too. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you might as well get advice because that's what you're going to go with in the end anyways, because you know how it is.
Yeah.
So what are you drinking on, man?
Nothing.
Dang.
It's an alcohol-free night for DRC.
It's a work night. Every night's a work night, so that's only special occasions.
It's a special occasion. It's podcast night.
Yeah, but I don't want to get shit faced too bad.
We don't get shit faced. We just, I mean,
it's still a school night.
As long as we're not drinking straight out of the jars, then we're usually all right. When we start drinking straight out of the jars, it's gonna be a good night, man. So, all right, well, welcome back to the show. We watched DRC. We watched DRC here weld, and if you can think of it, DRC can create it for you out of stainless or copper or stainless and copper. I went to him with an idea like, hey man, we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that bad old girl behind you. So we don't rush there yet. I got with DRC. I got a part from China, and I was like, man, I want this to be made by him. And I got with him, told him what I wanted, changed it 3 times, and every time he was like, here you go, until I got exactly what I wanted. And so if you want something that's welded together, made out of stainless or copper, that's your man.
Plus, we did the research behind it. We just didn't want to jump in, and just start going, balls to the walls, making parts. We needed to, give it a little bit of research just to make sure that, this idea is a good idea, but is it actually going to work? Is it going to withstand, any kind of pressures or heat, or electrolysis or whatever. And, that's why I kind of did the stainless on the copper. It's got to be safe.
Thermo expansion.
Yeah. We definitely don't want the bottom to fall out of this thing, Was that too early?
No, we're fine. We're fine. Like, if you know, like, I got Sean with a good one. He got me with one earlier. So, and then you dropped a good one too. So if you know, it's all good. It's all good. But yeah, that's what I really like the fact, like, if you approach Dustin and you're like, hey man, I'm going to be a pain in your ass and we're going to design this. We're going to talk about it. And he's like, okay. And then he contacts you back with what he thinks is going to work. And then you're like, well, what about this? And by the end of it, you have a really quality product that is second to none. And so
I recommend you get to watch it being made.
Yeah. And then you get to watch it being made, which is super cool, man. Like, anything you could watch being made, and if you're like, man, that's mine, and you see like the love that he puts into it, even if it is a $5 part, like, just the love he puts into a simple part that, like, he's going to take this $5 part and he's going to create it, and then it's like, oh, boom, that thing's worth a lot more than that, and it's wild to watch.
And I think there's really only a few people that post builds as they're going, and that's you, Dustin, Adam over at Copper Steel Co, and Phil. Big Easy, but that's
not a lot of people let you watch them while they work. Like, because you make a mistake while you're working live, there's no messing up. Just like here, if you have audio problems, well, it's staying. You'll deal with it. We'll be back. Like, it's just. That's one good thing about it. Me, I break shit, and I'm always hurting myself, and I don't like to see people watch me hurt myself and break shit. So I like to call Sean later, like, hey, man, I broke that. What do we do? So,
You know, and that's what makes you. That's what I think makes you a better fabricator, you know, or a better welder is being able to adjust for your situations as they occur, you know, because not every single thing that I do is absolutely perfect. I mean, the other night, you know, I was welding up one of these jar tops, right? And my purge hose unscrewed itself and came off, and I didn't know it. You know, I had no idea until I lifted up the hood, and that's what hit my foot, you know. And thank God that, you know, it wasn't a customer part and it was the last one I had, or, you know, I would have been like, dude, you're watching your part just get destroyed here, you know. So, and it wasn't a total failure. I mean, it was 75% of a failure, you know, but it's still usable for me. It'll never ever see the light of day. I mean,
it's not dangerous, it's 98% usable.
Right. I mean, there's enough sugar on it to raise your gravity points a couple, you know.
Yeah. Like what? Hold on. What do we don't like it unless it's what, Sean? Sketchy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we like it a little sketchy, you know. And
Only one way to do it.
So tell us how you started welding. Like, I want to go all the way back to the beginning. When did you decide, you know, that you wanted to weld, and how did you get started? Did you attend school? Was it was it a class you took in high school you enjoyed, or, you know, just if you don't mind telling us?
Right out of high school, I graduated in '96. So, 90.
They made welders back then.
They weren't like they are now.
It was two sticks and a rock and
two wires and a battery.
Yeah, you know,
well,
jumper
the battery
cables.
was one of those hand cranks. You know,
Okay.
like off the old telephone. Remember the old telephone you had to crank? Not
yeah.
this one.
So the girlfriend would crank the battery while you welded.
Right.
I got you.
So after I graduated high school, you know, I was just a farm kid. That's pretty much all I was, you know, and didn't have a direction that I really wanted to go. I knew I didn't want to do college because, you know, school wasn't for me.
And he's out.
I thought they had better internet in Florida.
They got better electric, I guess.
All right, we're back.
Okay, we're good. So I was like, you know, I don't know, I'm gonna do a few things. I wasn't wanting to do farming anymore because, you know, having it pushed down my throat and having to do it before school, after school, weekends, holidays, you know, cows and setting water and cutting hay, baling hay, all that shit, you know, that never is on a set schedule ever. And I knew that that's not what I wanted to do because that's all my dad has ever done. And I'm like, you know, I don't know what I want to do, but it just so happens at that time as I graduated high school, I wasn't living at home. I had moved out by my sophomore year, and I was living with Jenny's mom and dad and her. And her dad did concrete. He slip form concrete ditch for irrigating, right? So any kind of concrete work is labor intensive. And, you know, being a farm kid, I'm no punk. I get right in there and I'll work. And I would work with him on weekends. And if we had a vacation from school, I would go work with him. And we were doing
yeah, you know, there's an old boy from Tennessee that had a lot better service than this. There he is.
Yep. It's
now I can't hear him.
I think every time he gets a phone call, it kicks him off. and he's got to leave, come back. But anyways, we'll keep it going while he leaves and comes back. He's let me put his phone on do not disturb mode. I think he's got a
He's got a flip phone, probably. Like Jimmy Jack.
I can see that. You know, he graduated in '96. He's probably still using the same flip phone. You know, we're gonna bust his chops while he ain't here.
Yeah, it's probably a Nextel.
I think he's got a fire detector with a low battery. So.
Oh, you must be talking about me. That's probably me.
You still
Are we
know which
good?
one it is. Yeah, we're good. We're good. I think every time
We're
you get
good.
you get a phone call or a message, it kicks you off.
Yeah, we're good for a solid 2 minutes.
Yeah,
For a solid 2 minutes.
yeah.
So anyway, we went to put this
good
big
enough for the old
pedestal
lady.
crane in at this big fab. We put this
Welcome to
pedestal
the
crane in at this fab shop.
So I don't think he's gonna last tonight. This might just be a me and John deal.
There he is.
So no audio again. So might want to hey, he can weld it and he can't run it. So I'm glad we don't edit, man. This will be a lot of editing. So like we got to deal with this. Y'all do too. Sorry about that.
Good times, good times. So what have you been up to? Oh, there he is.
You back now? Back again. So
another 2 minutes and he's out again.
It wasn't even 2 minutes. It was
yeah,
like
so
30 seconds.
Maybe put your phone in do not disturb mode. Then you won't get any messages. I think every time you get a message or a notification, it's locking you up. Maybe.
It's not mine. Nobody ever texts me or calls me except for you guys. I know you guys ain't doing it. No, yeah, it's not mine. I don't know what it is. I couldn't tell you. But anyway, we went to this fab shop. We put this pedestal crane in. We had to dig the concrete. We had to dig 8 feet there, 6 feet. I don't give a shit. It was a big ass hole. We had to dig, fill it full of concrete, put this pedestal crane in. The place that I was working at that time told me, he said, hey, I was working with his dad. This guy delivered bottles, gas bottles, argon, acetylene, all that shit at this place. And I was working with his dad, and he said, hey, you're a decent little welder. Go, over there, they're hiring welders. So I went over there, and they knew who I was just because I put that pedestal crane in with my father-in-law.
At the time, what were you? Were you stick welding, MIG welding, TIG welding, or? All right.
What'd you do this weekend, Sean?
Shit, just hung out, went swimming, rocked a couple boats.
Yeah, nice family weekend.
Yeah.
Nice.
There you
go. Are we good?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. For another, we'll go 30 seconds this time.
Just come back and pick up where you left off. So Sean was asking you, what'd you ask him, Sean?
So back then, were you stick welding, MIG welding, TIG welding?
It was just stick welding. That was it. And it was just farm stuff, farmer rod, 6011, 6010, stuff like that. And it, I honestly wasn't very good at it at all. Never ever did a wire feed. I saw one, I ran one time, and I'm like, it's cool, whatever, and I went and did a weld test over there at Brewer, and they said, we know who you are. You're a good worker. I was 20 years old, I believe. And, I did a weld test for them. They're like, yep, it's okay. It's not bad, but it's okay. And I worked there for 10.5 years with some of the best older guys. They're now, back then they were my age, and I was like, I don't know how to weld at all. And they said, well, we'll get you there. But, I had to do it the hard way. I had to learn how to run a grinder. I had to learn how to run a acetylene torch. I had to learn how to run a plate roll, a plate shear, a structural roll, every kind of equipment that was in that shop. And the shop was, you know, it was a football field under a roof. You know, it was 105 feet wide and 315 feet long. So it was a massive building. And over the years, you know, these guys would be like, all right, hey, you know, Dustin's be a good fit for this guy to be over here and learn from this guy for a little while. And then we would do one job and we would ship that out, and then we'd do another job. And they're like, okay, well, we see that, you know, Dustin is going past the guy that's his partner or he's helping. So we need to put him with the next guy up that's in the shop. There was 15 guys in the shop, and I worked with every single one of them on at least one or two projects. And then we started getting into where we were doing a lot of TIG welding, and we had to TIG weld these screens together for, there was a fluidized bed dryer that went to Dominican Republic. And these screens were only made in one place in the world, and you don't screw them up at all. And they said, okay, here's your shot. And I only made one mistake in the 4 months of building the job, and it wasn't on the screen. So, you know, after that, I think after 10 years of working there, I was only I wasn't even at $15 an hour back then. And
That's
I was
crazy.
like, you know, we had Jared, Jenny and I had Jared, and I was like, yeah, I got to switch. Well, there's a place just down the street that was doing that would build dairy barns, and I kind of seen them around, you know, living in the same area. I kind of saw, you know, his vehicles and stuff. So I, you know, just left work and went down the street and said, hey, you hiring welders? And he's like, where are you coming from? I said, well, I'm coming from Brewer. And he's like, oh yeah, absolutely, do a weld test. And the boss is just blown away. He's like, dude, we don't have anybody that can weld like that. He's like, can you do sanitary? And I'm like, all day and twice on Sunday. And, you know, that's pretty much when I got started full time doing sanitary piping. And, you know, it's just every single time that I make a weld, there's something that I carry from one of the people that I've worked with, whether it's how I fit it together, or how I welded it. You know, I take a little piece of that person and I put them into that, you know, because they showed me how to do this or they showed me how to do that. So, yeah, they saw something in me that, you know, as a young kid looking back, I didn't even believe them. You know, I would have told them they're full of shit, you know. And
you know,
yeah,
something about that is it's kind of what I tell people about making liquor, you know, because you take what you hear from this guy, what you hear from that guy, what you hear from this person and that person, and you come up with your own way of doing it.
absolutely.
You know, so it's not necessarily one person that taught you, it's everybody taught you something and you're just applying what works for you.
Yeah. And that's you know how I perfected my art, I guess, and my skill is, you know, I can't do the work, or they couldn't do the work for me. You know, I had to watch how they did it and try to duplicate and then make it my own. You know, that's the hardest thing to try to get across to the younger people that are trying to do welding and stuff. They're like, well, can you show me how to do it? And I'm like, yeah, I can show how to do it, but I can't do it for you. You have to take and make it your own. You know, that's why, you know, Maggie for me was more than just showing that. You know, it was with you guys, and, you know, I mean, picking your brain and talking your ear off. You know, I was in heaven because I'm like, dude, I got some of the best dudes in the world right here, you know, and I'm gonna use every minute I can to ask you questions on what am I doing wrong? You know, this is what I'm doing other than you guys being here, you know, and you're like, okay, well, try this out, make it simple, do it. Okay. So I'm doing this, you know, and it's coming out pretty damn good.
Good. So tell us about your first endeavor in making a moonshine still of any kind. What brought that upon yourself? Um, well, we'll talk about it here in about a minute.
So, so this weekend I went to watch our buddy Noble Shiner. He's in a
Mm-hmm.
band called Before the Day, and he had a show Saturday night. And I went up there a while. It was pretty good, man. You should listen to his. He's got music on Spotify and YouTube, and I think their big hit song that we hear on the radio is called "Halo," I believe.
Halo. How new is that?
And I don't know. Don't you ask me questions I don't know the answer to. So, but yeah, dude, we went up there and watched this band. It was pretty cool. Had a couple beers. I took in some. I took in some purple Kool-Aid I got from Judd, and he was like, he said, "I'm pouring it in glasses and I'm passing it around." At the end, the lead singer of his band's like, "No, I don't like moonshine. I don't like moonshine." And I was like, "But have you tried the Kool-Aid?" And he's like, "Kool-Aid?" And I was like, "Just get you a sip, get you a quick little sip of it, and see if you like it." He took a sip of it, like, "Ooh, I like that." And I was like, "Here, have the rest of this jar, bro." So,
Yeah, it's funny how that works out, ain't it?
yeah, it is, ain't it? Like you hand somebody something good that they ain't used to, they're like, "Oh yeah, oh yeah." So we good?
Yeah.
So yeah, go ahead. Yeah, talk about your first endeavor and build a moonshine still. Like, what brought the opportunity? What made you just decide that you wanted to take that on? Or
yeah. Where did your distilling start? Like how did you get started distilling? Now that we've talked about welding.
So we're in Colorado, my home, and we're building a dairy in Colorado. And I have a buddy, Bruno Garcia. He's in TikTok, and he's a very, very smart guy, and he does some amazing beers. Right, I'm not a beer guy, and I'm like, I just go out there and hang out with him. He's got a lot of knowledge. I mean, just he can tell you every kind of beer that's ever made, pretty much, and what's in it, and the background, and the history, and all that. And I walked in there, and he had I think a little Mile High thing, and I'm like, "Is that yours?" And he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Should I make something like that?" And he goes, "Yeah."
Yeah.
Goes, "Yeah." I said, "How hard would it be to make that?" And I'm like, he's like, "Dude, it's just a pipe, and it just got this top coming out, and that's it. Nothing fancy." And I'm like, "You know what? I think I can make that."
Was it just like a column with a Liebig?
Yeah, that's all it is. And
on a milk can?
Yeah, like a 5-gallon or something. Like
okay.
It wasn't very big. And it had a heat band around it.
Okay.
And so I did. I got a keg, and that's the 15. I got that one. That was before the 5 was on it. And the very first thing I did was I cut the keg up and shined her all up, And I'm like, okay, well, now I got to figure out what I'm going to do. So I got some pipe, got some fittings, welded some stuff together, took it over to Bruno, and he's got a bunch of kegs, right, because of all the beer that he makes. And he's like, "Dude, let's hook this up." So we put it on there, and he's like, let's change this. Let's do the condenser. And I had, at that time, it was a Liebig. I think it was 30 inches, so it would fit in my suitcase, right? I had to make it so it would fit in my suitcase. And I'm like, okay. So we put that together. We did the lint arm and the 90 and all that happy jazz. And he's like, "Yeah, that looks pretty good. That doesn't look too shabby." And he goes, "Could you do a thumper or something on there?" And I'm like, fuck, I don't know. I suppose I probably can. I could, I don't know.
If you could think of it, DRC could build it.
What can I do? And
as long
then,
as it's safe.
As long as it's safe, And I'm like, let's research. Let's look around a little bit, And I didn't see you guys yet.
That's a shame.
Yeah, he's probably better off. So
That's right. We got a minute.
You'd be better off. So you might as well
Are we there?
Yeah, we're
there
good.
yet? There yet? Is it in yet?
Story of my life.
Whipping the sides.
Right.
That's all that matters.
That's when I came up with the I call them ram horns, but they're just a Y. I came up with that and did the 2 jars that come off of that. And I happened to stumble across Josh and the stuff that he was kind of explaining and showing, and this was what 3-4 years ago, maybe.
That's crazy how long ago that was.
And that's I saw something about mason jars, and I'm like, okay, I can build something like that. But I was researching, mason jars and stills, and I ended up kind of connecting with Josh and on TikTok, and he showed me how NorCal Brewing do, how they make theirs, but they're stair step down. And I'm like, dude, I don't want mine to do that. So that's when I came up with all that fancy jazz, and that doesn't work. You can't take one and put it into 2 because you'll have a weak and a strong side, and it just doesn't work that way.
Now, with a ball valve, you could adjust the flow and try to even it out, maybe.
Yeah, I wasn't that smart at that time.
Yeah. We come a long way in 4 years, huh?
We were just getting started,
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, and I made those, and I took them over to my buddy's Bruno, and I set him up in there. He has a couple of small kegs, and he took a small keg, set it up, and we put it all together. And we put it on there, and he goes, "Man, that is so sweet." Probably won't work, but he's like, dude, it's sweet looking, that's for sure. And I'm like, but how do you know? You make beer, you don't make shine, man. And he's like, well, I don't know, but he goes, give it a try. So my first few times of destroying mashes was trying that on fire, and it didn't work. It just didn't work. I was using all the scraps that I screw up on the farm that I throw away. And I'm like, didn't know that one pipe had a hole in it. I didn't know that. And that was my weak side. But, it was the beginning of what we have now.
So where did you first like pick up the distilling part? Like, did you watch some videos? Reading books? Or
I picked it up by watching George, right? Everybody knows George. Everybody loves George, right? I mean, there are so many George Duncan videos that,
there's enough. There's enough.
There's enough to learn everything you want to know from the ground up, right?
Yep.
And more than you want.
And that's what I did on my days off, because I had 5 days off. So, YouTube notes, YouTube.
Shout out to George.
Hey, and while we're talking about George and safety things, things of safety, he's got a very, very good video about aluminum. Go watch it.
Really? Is that a recent one?
No.
No,
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think he has any real recent ones. I think he did the smart thing and was like, I'm done.
Yeah. And that's kind of basically how I got it going. And then while I was, perfecting my piping and stuff on how I wanted my first setup to be, Bruno was building the control panel that y'all see and you all know. And he was, because he's a master electrician. So he's like, I want this to be safe. I want, all the wiring to be done by me. So all you do is turn it on. You can turn on and off your heating element, and you have your PID. Buy the parts. I bought the parts. I took them to Colorado, and I gave them to him, and I said, here you go. A month later, I had this big stainless control panel that is amazing, and I've taken apart and modified safely. And so
that's the word of the night, ain't it?
Right.
Safely.
Sketchy. Safely. But
I like sketchy.
Can't be safe if you're not at least sketchy.
That's right.
Safety third. Always.
Safety third.
Safety third.
Yeah. So, and that's basically what I did is I made the little contraption. I watched the shit out of George, and I ran it on gas because I didn't have electricity at first. I didn't have a way to. I was too impatient, right? And I'm like, we got to figure this out. I ran on ice, and it was very frustrating, and it was shit. It was shit for about 10 times. And then I started watching Josh, and I, got his phone number and just bugged him, every single time I had a chance to say, what if I do this? How do I do that? What do I do with this? And started doing grain and made my first mash tun. And that was a huge disaster. Oh my God. I didn't know corn would expand that much. Oh shit.
We all have something that we learn about headspace the hard way on. It's just the way it is. We all have one story to where like, man, I learned about headspace the hard way. So yeah.
Mine was bananas.
Same. Sprayed me in the face like a prom date.
And he's out for a minute.
So that's cool. We're talking about headspace. So yeah, I've told the story about the bananas and putting them in the jug and should just drank that from the jar tonight.
I was thinking about it, but, I can't remember what I was gonna say. It's real. I don't know. It's fucking hard telling at this point, honestly.
So
and he's out again.
Yeah, I removed him. So we'll just keep talking about it. So
I'm willing to bet. He takes a lot of thought, and
back.
We'll ask him here in a minute.
All right, go ahead and ask him.
So the bottoms of your boilers.
Tell us about the bottoms of the boilers.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you use the normal kegs for your boilers or fucking son of a bitch?
I'll be back. No. Did you ever seen Polish a Keg? So he creates his own parts, like create his own tools to do make his job easier.
That's fucking cool.
Like when you go on and you watch a DRC live, like whatever he's using, whatever tool he's using to make his life easier, like he made that from nothing. And I'm just like, holy shit, that's amazing. Like first thing I ever watched you do was polish a keg, so we're on there and he's got this thing turning this keg and I'm like, oh dude, that's fucking amazing. That's amazing. So
now I just put it in my drill press.
So you took kegs. I forgot what Sean asked already. But so you take kegs and you cut them up and you create beautiful works of art out of them. So like the still behind you is 3 kegs that you made into one, correct?
Yeah. So we have 15.5 on each end for the bottom boiler and then a 13.2 in the middle.
Nice.
All recycles. I mean, they're dented up. The back sides are dented. The bottom's dented, and that was probably the hardest vessel for me to make ever. Like in all my 25 years, the hardest thing to make.
Really? Why is that? Because it was all dented up.
Because of the kegs. Yeah, they math out the exact same, but with all the dents taken in material and trying to get them fit exactly perfect, the amount of stress that when you cut it, so when you cut a keg in half, it actually flares out. So you can measure the circumference before you cut it, and when you cut it, I don't know, the stress is relieved right there because of the way that they're made.
Yeah, from where because they're domed inside there. I come up and they're domed and concaved inside there, so I can see all that stress causing it to change.
Yeah, it's a bitch. It's a real bitch. And then trying to keep them round, because when you fabricate something, flat and round go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Right? If it's not round, it's not going to be flat because it'll try to bow up. So I had to make roundup rings out of plywood-ish, kind of, sort of, to make them somewhat round. That was the hardest thing to do. I'll never do it again.
Yeah, like if you take a plastic 55-gallon drum, which all moonshiners have taken a plastic 55-gallon drum, and if you cut it and you cut the head off of it, it automatically bows. Yeah, it automatically changes. And so it's always like, why'd you cut it like that? You got to cut it and leave that ring up there so it doesn't bow on you.
Yep.
The one I gave Sean was like that. He's like, why'd you cut it like this? I was like, because I use it for something else.
Yeah.
So I was just holding water in it.
Yeah, if I ever do this again, they'll be brand new because there's so much stress in them anyway. And then over the years of being tossed off of trucks and curbs and ran over or whatever else, just doesn't help matters at all.
That's the beautiful part about using a beer keg, though, for a moonshine still.
You damn right, man.
Yeah.
Sean's right. That's the beautiful part. Like, you could kick that thing down a hill and carry your copper to the bottom and be like, yep, making shine right here. Stain that thing up. Yep. Doesn't matter if it's got a badass ding in it or been hit by a forklift. That thing will still make liquor.
And then when you shut her down, you don't have to worry about, it imploding because it'll hold.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a round tank. It's meant to hold a vacuum and pressure.
I want to see somebody implode one. Like, that's a science project for somebody. Show me a video of you imploding a keg. I want to see it. I don't care how you do it because I ain't the one doing it. And do it safe. Keep it safe.
You have to use a good vacuum pump for that.
And I want to see a keg implode. Like, 55-gallon drum, not a big deal. Them things are, they're big, they're flimsy. I want to see the keg, and I want to see somebody implode a keg.
So tell us a little bit about what you got back there. Yeah. It would be on your right side, I believe, the jar.
Yeah.
This one?
Yep.
So these are the infusion teas that I make, right? After all the stuff that was bad.
But not to cut you off, but before you get into that, you literally make just about all that.
I make everything, yes. Obviously I don't make the tea, right? Because I buy the tea, but all the stuff that goes in it, I make this ring, I don't make the 90 that's in there, obviously, but, you got to math it all out and, you got to, I do the jar top. I make the jar top. I cut holes myself. I weld all that stuff on. But the reason I designed it this way is because the ones that are on the market before they started being copied off of mine, they would step down. You had to step them down to get them to work. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I need to change that design so you could put 10 of them straight across. If you wanted to do 10, you could. I don't know if that would ever work, but and it's one piece. Yeah.
You got enough pressure, it'll work.
Yeah.
And it's all stainless. It's all one piece. When you're done, you just throw it in a bucket of star sand is the best part, or soapy water or whatever. It's safe. It's it's all sanitary stainless, so everything is purged. There's not a lot to it. I think it's, dude, I think it's the best thing since sliced bread, I think.
Those are very versatile and convenient when it comes to jars, because a lot of times when people make, like Rick, he makes beautiful fucking copper jar setups, but they're generally stationary.
Yeah.
As in, you can only use them one way, or valves or whatever. Those ones you can, you can clamp on there, put a 90 on the next side, and turn them which way, whatever you want.
And you can take these jar tops off,
and change them. Yeah.
Yeah, you can take these off, and that to me, is I don't have to spend the money for stainless rings for a mason jar. If this is no good, I just throw it away and grab the next one.
Yeah.
You know,
because it's not catching any vapor. The ring itself isn't.
Yeah,
You know,
this is just tin. This is the one that comes on all your quart mason jars, your wide mouth jars. You know, so that's if it's rusty, I throw it away. If it doesn't work, I throw it away. You know, and buy it.
And at the end of the day, it's safe.
And it's safe, yeah, because it's mason jar. You know, it's all safe. You know, just everything that I had to do to get to this point was all. I don't know. I don't even know how to say it. Was
trial and error, maybe.
Well, that yeah. There was a lot of research done. There was a lot of time spent out here trying to figure out how to make this I guess modular, I guess, or you know, make it so that it's more universal. Because you don't have to just use this on this tee. You can use this as a what do you want to do? Collect yeast. You know, you can use that for collecting yeast. You can use it
if like you took a keg and made like a fermenter out of a counter fermenter out of it.
Yeah.
You could put that on the bottom. You could also take it and you could use it as the infusion jar if you flipped it over and put it on a ball valve and everything. So
yeah, absolutely. You know,
those pieces, you know, many uses, which is really cool.
Yep. And you know, the best part is, you know, like I keep going to it. It's all stainless. So there's nothing you can do to destroy it other than smash the shit out of it with a hammer, probably. I mean, I can't break them, and I've tried. Believe me, I've tried.
Well, that's just the thing with mason jars. Like everybody's like, oh well, you know, as everybody's heard, they're not safe. You know, it's the solder sometimes. It's how you do it. You know, you gotta. I mean, it's you slap something the fuck together. Yeah, it's not going to be worth a fuck. But like you said, you know, you're spending the time to research to make sure it's safe. Because anybody can slap something the fuck together. It ain't that difficult.
You use what you make. You know, like you use what you make.
Yeah, you know, I used jars way before I ever fucked with them. You know, way before. You know, so someone's like, oh, well, yeah, those aren't safe. I'm like, okay, well, I probably ran more liquor in mason jars than you'll probably ever run your whole life. I'm not trying to be an ass, but.
You know, it's just, you know, I think people get set in their ways and, you know, like some people got to be right. And some people can't accept not being right to everybody. And, you know, we talk about all the time, man, there's a million ways to do this. There's a million, and some bad press ends up being huge, you know, like, and it just it ain't good for everybody, you know. Any type of quarrel ain't good for anybody. So,
oh yeah, yep, you know, sometimes, you know, that's the thing, you know, when as a whole you try to be safe, but when you start taking money out of people's pockets, that's when they start getting pissed off a little bit.
Oh yeah, like it definitely, you know, it means more to some people than the others. So,
absolutely, you know, and that's I don't know about you guys, but I would not ever want to knowingly put out something that was not safe.
Ever, you know, like if there's a chance that you even think it's partially unsafe, then you're going to do what you got to do to make sure it's that way, you know. Now, if something does go out and mistakes happen, we're all human, you know, like we're all human.
Exactly. And there was a guy, he messaged me, and he said, hey, he said, you know, when you build these jar setups, do you supply the jar? I said, absolutely not, because I'm not responsible for the integrity of that jar when you put it on there.
Yep. Like, I don't know anybody that supplies the jar. Anybody. The jar is you. That's you, you know. It's at your risk, and that's just the way it is. So,
because the steel itself don't blow out.
No,
if there's an issue,
yeah,
and it is what it is. So,
Dustin, what's your favorite thing to run? What's your favorite thing you've run through that beast back there that you created out of 47 different kegs? And so how many kegs you got in that? 5? Is there 5 different kegs in that?
1, 2, 3, 4.
4?
Okay. Yeah, because each nipple, that's one keg. That's a half of the 5.1.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
So
and then,
4 kegs.
Tell us about that ball you got right there. Like,
so
what the hell is that thing?
My liquor ball, that was a hydroformed situation that I had. I tried to make a ball, and I watched this guy on YouTube make balls, hydroforming stuff, and I'm like, well, I can do that. So I got some 16 gauge and I cut some 12-inch circles, and we put the pressure washer on it, and it has a few wrinkles, but it didn't blow out until it was I want to say 2,000 psi. So
a little stronger than solder.
Just a little bit stronger, and with the really bad wrinkles on there, the circumference was just fused. There's no fill rod added around that. The only fill rod was added was on the ferrules, and there was so much pressure, the ferrules themselves ended up kind of rounding. They stayed flat and kind of rounded up into the ferrule.
Wow. So.
Hell yeah. And he's gone for another minute or two.
No, so he'll be back. So Florida's. If you're in Florida, you got to go north for better internet. So that's the way it goes. He needs to switch over to cellular service. Kids are stealing all the Wi-Fi. That's what happens around here.
Yep, there he is.
So, wonder if he's got audio. Guess not. He'll be back. So, all in all, not too bad. Not too bad. So, what's on your mind over there, Mr. Winning Ain't Winning?
Oh, not much, man.
No, not much. I gotta add him back.
Nothing worth talking about, because then I'll take on business somewhere else.
Yeah, sometimes you're better off just to let things go and deal with them, in a hands-off manner. Yeah, hands-off type of way. It's better business for everybody, So, and then you can't pound your thoughts down somebody's mind, man. Bees and flies, they don't discuss why shit and honey's better than one or the other. They got their own way. Let them be. Let them be happy and do their thing, man. So.
I don't remember what we were talking about. So
we was talking about that the
liquor ball.
Yeah, liquor ball.
But now I just fill that full of copper wire.
That's
my copper's hiding is in there.
Nice. And then you got a badass 4-inch D flag up there that you built, correct?
Yeah. So the 4-inch D flag it's an 8-inch spool that has 12.5 feet of 1/2-inch copper.
So we got to watch you make all that from the beginning of, hey man, I got these kegs, I'm doing this, to putting them together, and then it morphed like that thing ain't nowhere near what you originally planned. Like started out as this, and then it's this, and then it's that, and so we watched you make almost all of it, and then we got to see it at the jam. He had it at the jam last year. And it's just like, to see that piece of artwork in person was amazing.
Are we going to see that one again at the jam?
Yeah. Are you bringing it with all the mods?
And he's off.
Ask him when he comes back. So,
absolutely.
Good times. So next show, Noble Shiner hats, man. You got to come with me. You got to bring the old lady, and we'll get old Con over, and we'll go over. It's a good time.
It's probably past his bedtime though.
Yeah. No, there he is. There he is.
I mean,
So,
he's probably in bed right now watching this.
yeah, he is. He's got us on his little AirPod underneath his blanket so his light doesn't keep the wife up, which I understand, you know. She's got to get up early. You don't.
Yeah, well,
So,
he always says she is his retirement plan.
That's right. Let's be real, man. We don't make it to retirement. We better retire around 45 and enjoy your last 10 years.
Yeah, that's kind of my plan. Whether or not it happens, I don't know.
Yeah, I just want to make.
I'm just going to be broke for the last 20 years.
I ain't got no problem with that. I just want to make liquor, so that's all that matters.
I'm starting to wonder if he's gonna come back up in here.
Yeah, I think he might be done for the night, or he'll come back and say goodbye. Because if he comes back, we'll tell him good night. We apologize for all the difficulties. We don't cut it out though. That's just the way it is, and so
that's right.
Well, there's Noble.
There he is. Maybe.
Yeah, welcome back. Welcome back. So you can hear us, right?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
What'd you ask him, Sean?
Are we going to see that behind you in Maggie Valley this year?
The
other behind you. The kegs. I don't know about that thing over there.
Big Rig Betty?
Yeah. We're intrigued to see what all the add-ons that you've made. Like you made the bubbles or the glass piece, handmade. Everything you see that he made. This dude made, and we got to watch him. Like watch him on TikTok, subscribe to him, watch him every night, every other night. He's making something. Just making something, and it's insane. It's awesome to watch, and you're just like, when he's done, you think a machine did it. I always say DRC could weld steel to ice, and you'd be like, man, how's that holding? I did too much talking.
So was that when you shifted the camera over? What exactly were you teasing about?
He doesn't know because he's not here anymore. So we missed our chance.
Noble's correct. He is entertaining when he's here, though.
Yeah, we should have just all joined. No,
I booted him out on accident.
That's all good. I think he's gone anyways. So
Senate Bill 13, 100%. You think it's going to go?
Oh man, I hope so, dude. I hope so. That Senate Bill 13 drops, and you're going to see the Big Easy straight up. And I'm gonna fill my 200 gallons quick.
The fuck? Okay. Are you back?
All right. So we want to know: are you telling us what's under the blue tent or not, or do we get to see that after the show is over, or are we not allowed to see it ever?
Well, you will in due time.
Okay, I'm patient.
It will, yeah.
All right. So
once they are out, and once they are shown, hopefully we can take 3 to 4 of these to Maggie this year. I think y'all gonna like them. I hope.
Is it safe?
It's they're X-rayed. So yes, they're safe.
I like it X-rated.
Must not be any jars on it if it's safe.
There's no glass at all.
Hey man, I'd run a jar every
day
of the week.
I don't know what it is, but I'd run it.
I'd piss on a jar while it was running and not think twice. Let's get it.
I take mine off. As soon as I think they're getting full, I grab the leather gloves, and I shut it down. And I reach up and I take it off. I mean,
yep.
Let it sit for a minute, cool down. Reprime that some bitch, put it back on there.
The stainless pot that I had, I went to the distillery and then he blew it up, essentially. The winter before that, I was running out in the building. It was 19 degrees outside. I threw the jars on. I was already outside. I put liquor in them, threw them on, turned the heat up, I started at 6 a.m. and I seen liquor at 1 p.m.
And cold. It's cold. Everything was cold.
It was,
And yeah, those jars were outside too, so they were cold.
yeah, they
Yeah.
were cold. You know,
Like, look, man, like
that's one thing. You start fooling with glass, you take that chance, and you're knowingly taking that chance.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's just like anything else. If you're worried about safety, don't fucking do it.
If you're so worried about it, run electric. Run electric. You know,
Yeah.
Run electric. You ain't got no worries. You could blow alcohol steam straight out of that and no worries. You know, like if you're that worried about them, don't be turned off because of what somebody thinks or somebody says. They're amazing, and we're a beautiful invention. They change the game, and I love them.
So DRC, do you prefer electric over gas or gas over electric? Or a minute later after now?
All right, when he comes back in, we just got to talk to him. And
there he is. Do you prefer gas over electric or electric over?
He can't hear tonight. He'll be back. So we'll let him talk when he comes back in, and then we'll let everybody go. This one's still been all right, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Still been all right. It's always a good time. All right, we're back. We're back. So do you prefer electric or gas?
Well, we'll say electric.
I mean,
why?
Yes, sir.
I would have to say it's convenient for me.
That's fair.
And I can run gas as well. I prefer not to, just because of I'm still new at it. I'm not, master, the master and the pro here.
I ain't no pro.
I ain't no master either.
I like to be able to watch what my PID says. And I know there's a lot of people that hate PIDs, but I don't run the SCR controller anymore because I run my PID in manual mode. So I tell it what to do instead of it. And that's how I figured it out with the jars by running a PID in auto mode. Sucks shit. You can't do it because you get that temperature spike and it fills up and then sucks it out. Fills it up, sucks it out. You can't get that nice even. Mm-hmm. So that's when I figured, hey, we got to go back to George and figure out how to run this thing the right way. And I went to George. I didn't find an answer. And I'm like, okay, maybe I was impatient. And a friend of mine said, hey, I gotta show you how to run that. And he showed me how to run it in manual mode. And once I figured that out, I took the SCR controller out because I didn't need it. Yeah. Because it's the same as your PID. You're running it as a PWD, right? So, it's convenience for me. And I like to be able to watch and take notes on when I change my power setting. So if I go from 35% power on a 3,500 watt 220 element and I go to 37% power to my heating element, what does that do and how long does it take from the boiler to the drip to change? Then I know.
So when you start off first thing, say your mash is room temperature, down there, 120 degrees. But no, seriously, say it's 90 degrees, right? Mm-hmm. Do you turn that motherfucker all the way up?
Wide open.
Okay.
I run her wide open.
That's how if I'm running I don't care what I'm running, electric, SCR, PID, propane, I'm turning it up early and then backing it down. And I learned that from Sean,
yep.
and yep. that's where I picked that up from. And like you said earlier, when you're talking about welding, like I picked this up, I picked that up. Sean hit it right on the nail of the head. Like you're going to pick up something small from every person you come across along your path.
Yep.
Like in your distilling life, I'm sure you've picked up something from this person and that person and talked to this person and use a little bit of everything.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, between you two guys and Ricky Bobby, you know, I mean, I there's hundreds of years of experience that I have access to, you know, and if I've never experienced it, there's all you guys that have. So I can pretty much narrow it down to, hey, this is what's going on.
And we're in the same boat, because when we think about creating something out of stainless, we ain't got a clue. You know, like I've seen Sean's welding. It's pretty damn good. Sean can lay a bead, but DRC's the guy. Like he'll create what you want. You know, and so I think that's one thing that we take from you. It's a give take.
Well, and that's it too. You know, that's why I always tell people, like, if you ask one of us a question that we don't know, there's a very good chance we know somebody that does. You know, and you don't have to know everything, as long as you know a way to find out whatever you need to know.
Yeah. And and if you don't know, you don't have to know. You know, like
Exactly.
you don't always have to know, or it's not always your way. Like there's a million different ways, but at the end of the day, it's all about one thing: safety.
Safety.
So, it's no longer shine on at the end of the night, boys. It's always stay safe.
Yeah.
Oh, you're such a dick, man.
And I take everything I do. I try to put 100% effort and love, as much love as I can, into anything that goes out. No matter what. Even though that it is a prototype, right? You guys have seen it. And I don't let shit go anymore, because the first prototype of everything I did, or of the first thing I did, wasn't good. And I'm like, I'm not going to go down that same path again. So when I came up with that one that you guys tested out, I talked it over with the boss lady, and I said, I want somebody besides me to test it, because I don't have time, and I have the stuff to do it with, but I just don't have time, and she's like, well, who do you trust? And I said, well, I trust Big Easy and I trust Sean. She goes, yeah, I agree, because she's a pretty good judge of character. And I'm like, okay, I'll definitely send it to him, and let him do his thing, because I don't know, I have no idea. I mean, you guys could just be demolishing it with a hammer. I don't know,
Well, when it comes to running things and running them fast, we're probably the people to go to.
Yeah.
And we're not gonna, if we're doing a legit run, there's, we say fast, but it's not like we're pumping water fast. It's
right.
It's quicker than most people, just because we see it a different way. But DRC was like, "Hey man, I'm gonna send this up to you, and then after you're done with it, can you let Sean do it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I could do that." And then like 10 days went by, and Sean's like, "Man, I wonder if he'll let me run it." And I'm like, "Bro, I forgot to tell you that he totally told me to let you know that he wanted you to run it when I was done with it. My bad." And he's like, "Oh, you're a piece of shit, this and that." And I'm like, "Yeah, I accept that, man. I forget sometimes." Like, so it came in late. But then he's like, "Hey, man, test this thing for me and tell me what you want. Tell me what you think." And so I'm like, "Cool, man. I'm going live on it. I'm going to do it on live." And so I threw it on just a little simple column and a shotgun condenser, and I filled that keg up with water, and I turned that double jet burner on as high as it would go, man. That thing was glowing red. You could see it on the video, and everybody's like, "Oh, man, you're running that too hard." I'm like, "Man, I'm just blowing water through. Let's see what it's got. And and that I burnt the bottom out of that keg just to push it for him, like that was the thing to do. And then I ran some peaches through it on some tails, and I'm pushing the hell out of this thing on video, and everybody's like, "You're running it too fast," and I'm like, "I know, I know I am. I'm pushing this thing to the balls. I'm seeing what it's got." So I was privileged to be the
There's
very
only
first
one
person.
way. There's only one way to figure out whether or not that's safe.
Yeah. Yep. You're damn right. Like, ain't nobody going to run that thing like I did.
Yep.
And then I got done with it, and I'm like, "Here, Sean, I forgot to clean it, bro. My bad." So I sent it to Sean. It's still got a little peach stuff on it.
That's
It'll
what
be
heads
all
are
right.
for, man.
You damn right. So I'm like, "You'll be all right, man. It's all good. Here you go. My bad. I forgot to clean it." And I'm looking forward, to what Sean has to say about it, because I'm sure he's going to say he's going to be just as
It's safe.
yes. He's going to say the same thing about it I am. Like, man, that thing's awesome. So I look forward to having at least one of those. Like, I would like to have at least one.
Absolutely. They're just so easy to work with.
Just
And they're
clamp it
different.
on. Yeah, and that's definitely different.
I mean, you put you put the gasket on it, you put the top on it, screw the lid on, get it tight, and then put it on. You don't have to put it on and then
I tell you, it
fucking
definitely that modular setup that he's got with that jar lid, it definitely makes it easier and safer to pop that thing off there and empty it out and put it back on there. And I love that part about it. So
yeah, and you don't even have to take the ring off the mason jar. You just undo the triclover clamp and take it off and dump it out.
Is it popping that ring off there when it's hot and everything is
not fun.
Expand, and then trying to get it back on. So like, I don't, if it's on a regular jar rig, like a copper rig, I won't take them off just because it's too much of a pain. But on something like that, I ain't got no problem doing that. Even on an open flame, I just turn it off because it's on a keg. You ain't got to worry about nothing, and do some sketchy shit. Like, that's what I enjoyed about it.
So before we get off here, because we've kept people here quite some time, do you have a story of something when it comes to moonshine that almost got you killed?
Did you about blow still up, or did you have like an old shit moment yet?
No.
Kegs for the win, man. Like,
I never have.
Kegs, bro. Like, they're so safe. Like, let's be real. There is no safer still than a keg. You don't have to worry about pinholes, puncturing, crumpling. You don't have to worry about it raining on it. Like,
and you can argue personal consumption.
Yeah, like, and then you can also argue like that's not a still. It is not a still. It is just a beer keg.
In all my years of welding, I've never had a weld. Anything that I've welded, I've never had it fail under normal working conditions, ever.
Nice.
Ever.
Now, let's copper to stainless. I was like, hey man, I want to put copper pieces inside these stainless rings, stainless ferrules for the Weber jars, because I was like, I created the Weber jar, like I didn't create the jar, but I found the parts and did all that and put it together and was like, hey, we got a thumper jar for the Weber now. I took what I learned from old Sean and Rick and then just seeing the parts and seeing how it worked and was like, wow. And then he was immediately, DRC was like, let me weld stainless to copper and beat the hell out of it with a hammer. And so here he is on live welding stainless to copper and beating the hell out of it with a hammer. And the copper was bending and breaking off and the weld didn't go. And it's like, look, man, that's wild,
Sometimes you gotta beat some things just to show that they're not going to come apart. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, sometimes you gotta beat the hell out of some shit,
or soldering.
Yeah, like, if you can beat on it and it don't break, I think that it'll survive almost anything. So,
anything that we throw at it anyway.
Yeah, we're not throwing that much at it, and let's be realistic, man. Like, what would fail first would be the gasket or jar. From all that back pressure.
The person using it, probably.
If you had that much back pressure, I could see it popping that jar out of that ring first. Like,
oh yeah,
yeah, absolutely. The thermal dynamics on that is just going to pop that right out of there.
Yeah, like if you're on open flame, then yeah, you got an issue. you got a potential issue there. But I mean, realistically, I think a jar could save your ass if you had a clog in your worm, because that thing would just pop down and
Yep.
Yeah,
there's on run days or test days, the very, very last thing I do is I hook my heating element up. I make sure everything is working. Everything is clear. I have a way to exit stage left. I do not consume anything except for maybe a water or a soda or something here and there. But, I do it the safest way that I can, because if I'm injured in any way, my customers suffer, right? I get further and further behind. So I have to make sure that I dot my T's and cross my I's every single time. Every single time. Yeah.
Gotta keep it safe. So
yep. Absolutely.
Well, folks, we've been on here long enough. And Dustin, I appreciate you being on here, brother. Go ahead.
What's your favorite thing to make before we leave, Dustin? You've made quite a few things. What's your favorite thing to make? Now, what's your favorite liquor to make?
Oh,
we're back to liquor. We're done with welding.
So the favorite thing for me to make is just straight corn. Now that I have my new way to mash in all grains, the all grain is just straight corn. And I'm getting some of the best conversions and some of the best tasting stuff that I've made ever. And, I owe it to you guys, and we've been making some orange creamsicle, and it's amazing. Key lime pie, amazing.
Awesome. Well, I'll let Sean take us out this time.
What a dick.
Take us out, Sean.
But anyway, yep, Dustin, I appreciate you for being on here.
Thank you
We've
so
been
much.
on here long enough.
It was an honor, bro. Stick around afterwards. Don't leave.
But until next time, y'all, stay safe.
Stay safe.